Let's unbox and talk about the Rolex Deepsea. In particular, I have here the James Cameron with the blue to black ombre style dial. So let's start with an unboxing and then I'll go through the tech specs and give you my thoughts about it. And if you're interested in buying some quality watches, well, check out my website, which I'll link to in the description below. Anyway, let's start with the unboxing. Now in this particular case, the watch is from 2016, so the outer cardboard box is a little bit on the faded used spectrum. However, it is still intact, I guess. Opening that up, then we get the inside green Rolex box, which in this case is in very good condition. Anyway, we've got the green box. It is relatively normal by this stage. If you've seen a Rolex unboxing, well, this is the same basic box. Now inside the box, clearly you have the watch. We've got a hang tag. In this case, I have a spare link from when it was resized, and I've got the instruction manuals and the warranty card and that type of thing. Now, the manuals and card, well, there's not terribly much to say about those. You can flip through them. In reality, a lot of it's self-explanatory, but it is good to have. The card, again, is, well, relatively standard for a Rolex, but of course, if you're buying one of these, it is useful to have the card. So that's what the unboxing is like. Reasonably nice packaging and presentation, but it is much like any other Rolex. Now the watch itself is probably what one is more focused on. Now starting with the aesthetics of the watch, I think it's one of the most attractive Rolex professional watches out there. It's 44 millimeters in diameter, which I think is a good size. In my opinion, it wears very well, but of course that will depend a little bit on your wrist and the like. I think the dial is one of the more attractive Rolex dials, having this blue to black gradient. I think the rest of the dial is also relatively well put together. In terms of the numerals, the hour markers, well, in this particular case, we just have circles, which is good for legibility because there's, well, relatively high impact lume on this, which makes it quite easy to see in the dark if you are using it for actual practical purposes. If you're like me, you probably won't, which will ultimately lead me on to some of the tech specs later on. But anyway, the watch otherwise looks very nice. The bezel is unidirectional, again looks solid. I think the whole thing sits together and works as a cohesive package. As I've said in prior videos about some watches, I think there's what I'd call textual integrity about the watch. Everything fits together, looks like it is the correct dimension, and nothing looks like it is odd or weird or like it shouldn't actually be there. So I think it all works very well together. I personally prefer this to the sub, but again, I'll get to some of the reasons why that's the case in a second, but aesthetically, I think the dial is more interesting than a lot of the subs. The rest of the case, I mean, it's a relatively normal Rolex professional case. It's slightly on the thicker side, and part of the thickness could be somewhat attributable to the crystal, which is thick, domed sapphire at 5.5 millimeters thick, and part of the reason for that is the alleged practicality of the watch. The watch itself, nicely designed but normal for the professional models, and closed case back as well. It comes on the Oyster bracelet. Now this particular one is on Oyster steel, but of course you can get some with gold as well. That of course is a different colorway. I think gold is less practical, but let's face it, none of us are using these watches for practical or professional purposes. Around the rest of the watch, like I said, it's the Oyster bracelet, the new Rolex clasp, well, new in inverted commas, they've been using it for a while, but that distinguishes from the older ones, I guess. The clasp is easy to use, easy to open up, and it's a nice watch to actually be able to hold, and it feels relatively hefty and thick, and as if it's, I guess, a good solid watch. Certainly it has some weight and some heft associated with it. In terms of other aesthetics things, as with all of these Rolexes, well, the crown is side with the Rolex crown on it, which is not surprising. The crown is also textured, so you can unscrew it. Again, that is standard for a Rolex, but in case you don't, not super familiar with them, that's basically what they're all like. Now, that's the aesthetics. I think it's a nice looking watch, but again, that will depend a bit on what you want the watch for and what it is going to be going with. Now, in terms of the tech specs, this is where I think the Deepsea shines, particularly when we get to the price, which I'll get to in just a second, because these don't hold value super well on the second-hand market, which I find slightly odd because it seems to my mind that the Submariners hold value a little bit better, even though the Deepsea to my mind is probably a better model and in some ways looks better than the Sub. But anyway, in terms of tech specs, well, the Deepsea is supposedly for like going really deep into the ocean, as if anyone is actually going to be using any of these watches for anything vaguely professional. I mean, the closest my watch is going to get to the water is standing next to the water. It is not going in the water. But anyway, that's not the point of having all of these tech specs. A lot of it is just for the purpose of being able to know that the technical know-how is there. One is effectively almost buying into the expertise underlying the watch, even if one does not ultimately use it. So I think it is nice to have, and I appreciate the expertise that has gone into designing, manufacturing, and then manufacturing, to some extent at scale, watches of this type. Now, in any case, it purportedly can go down to depths of 3,900 meters, which is partly assisted by the helium escape valve. Now, with my general lack of knowledge about such things, it appears that helium at such pressures could potentially go into the watch if you're really deep underwater. So the purpose of the escape valve is to try to prevent helium accumulating and then messing with how the watch moves. That's my understanding of it. So the escape valve helps you go down deep sea under the water, as the name suggests. And the reason you've got James Cameron as the name or nickname for this watch is because he went, well, deep sea. Not something that I necessarily follow, but there you go. In terms of other things, it has Rolex's caliber 3235 movement, which has 28,800 beats per minute, and reportedly 70-hour power reserve. I've not put that to the test, but I will take Rolex's word for it. It moves quite smoothly, so I have absolutely no complaints about the movement at all. I think it's very nice. I think it works perfectly well for what I need. Reportedly, it has precision of plus or minus 2 seconds per day, but if you're someone like me that barely sets their watch with any semblance of accuracy, you might not notice. Often I kind of set my watch to like vaguely in the vicinity of the correct time, so when I'm setting it, it is nowhere near close to precision, so the plus or minus 2 seconds probably is not noticeable to me, but it is still nice to have. Like I said before, has the Chromalight lume on it, which makes it very legible in the dark. What then about, I guess, value for money? And here, to some extent, well, it really depends on what you are looking for, what type of colorway you're looking for, whether you want a steel watch or not, etc., etc., etc. Personally, I think this is one of the better value for money watches, but of course, when you're considering value for money, you need to consider both the entry price and the exit price. The Deepsea does not appear to hold value very strongly compared to some of the subs, particularly in really high demand colorways. And I know that I've gone into a couple of ADs and they've had the Deepsea available for purchase, which to my mind suggests that it is not the most in-demand model. I find that curious to some extent because aesthetically it looks the same as the Submariners. Well, very similar, to be honest, if you're looking at it from a distance. I think it has a better dial, and certainly I prefer it to the black-on-black Submariner date. Now, admittedly, it is a bit more expensive in the second-hand market than the black-on-black Submariner date, but not materially so. I.e., you could spend a little bit more and get what I think is a better watch, with better tech specs and to some extent better aesthetics. But again, that's personal preference. If you're comparing it to, say, the GMT Master, well, of course, the GMT Master has the GMT function. The Deepsea can go really deep underwater. Which one is important to you, I guess, really depends on what you're going for and whether you think one looks better or not compared to the other one. I think some of the GMTs do look quite aesthetically appealing. Some of them less so, will really depend. Where I think a lot of the competition really is in some of, say, the Yacht Masters, where you can sometimes get the two-tone ones, which are relatively competitively priced, a little bit more than the Deepsea, but not that much more, and still look quite okay. Now, personally, I'm not the biggest fan of the two-tone look, but again, that's just personal preference, and you might prefer it. Still, I prefer the oyster steel appearance to the two-tone appearance. But of course, again, like I said, personal preference. I would personally just go for the oyster steel or solid gold, but that's just me. So in terms of the James Cameron, well, is it something that I would go out and buy? Is it something that I like? Do I regret buying it? What is the case there? Well, if or when I were to sell this particular one, I would certainly be interested in going out and buying another one because I actually quite like it. It's one that I'm perfectly happy to have in my collection unless and until I move on and get a bit bored of it or want to just have a change of scenery or decide that, well, maybe I prefer a different watch and my opinion on it changes. But it's one that I like having in my collection. Whether it's this specific one or one that I'd buy to bring in after I sell this one, well, I'm not sure. But I do quite like the watch. But of course, you can let me know your thoughts about it in the comments below. Do you think I'm off base about the Deepsea? Do you think there are better watches? Do you think Rolex's other professional models are better or potentially worse than this? You can let me know. And if you're interested in checking out some of the watches I have for sale, and I periodically list watches, not that actively, but sometimes, you can check out my website. I'll link to that in the description below. And if you're interested in potentially trying to make some money to go out and buy a watch, well, you can check out my fund management company, Otso Capital. We've had some really good performance. I'll again include a link to that in the description below. But of course, it's only open to wholesale or sophisticated investors. So you need to make sure that you qualify to be able to invest in that fund. And I'll, like I said, include a link to that in the description below. But otherwise, hopefully I'll see you next time as well.